Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here presenting, highlighting two projects, both of them related or sharing one trait, which actually is the use or application to land of anaerobic diastase in one or another way. So I think the introduction is pretty clear in the sense that we are more, we consume more intensively, and under changing and more challenging conditions, which throughout today we've highlighted. And that impacts upon food security, energy security, but the third leg would be the waste management. We have a paradox in the sense that we produce more waste, but at the same time, we have less resources. And improper waste management is actually one of the most common causes of environmental degradation. And I'm showing this figure just to highlight that in terms of SGD, if you see 6 and 7, for example, they are directly related to waste and or resource management. So this is quite an important aspect that indeed is related to soil, in the sense that traditionally we've been applying organic materials to soil, and now we have newly generated organic waste streams, for example. And I've learned, while being here, that where there's muck, there's brass. I think it's pronounced in that way. So it's actually true, not in a purely economical sense, but actually in terms of maintaining or improving soil functions. So I'm going to talk about anaerobic diastase, which is a waste / a byproduct of anaerobic digestion. And there has been different research going on, and there are drivers that are leading this research. From our point of view, is because we need to obtain more consistent data to know how we manage properly this sort of materials, especially when we apply them to soil. There is, out there in the literature, several evidences proving that there is a benefit in terms of direct supply of nutrients to the plant. However, also, if we want to opt for this option, we have a limited land bank in some places, as it could be UK, and increasing amounts of diastase being produced that requires a niche or a use. We have other challenges, how we transport it, storage, which is the consistency or the composition of that material, and if it contains potential toxic elements or pollutants. So several research has been carried out. I would recommend you, if you are interested, to have a look at the DC Agri Diastase and Compost in Agriculture report from Rob. And today I'm going to introduce some results of the AVANT project, and I'm going to present the Recirculate project as well. So the AVANT project is an NERC-funded research led by Lancaster University in collaboration with the Stop for Energy and Environment and with collaborators such as the James Hutton Institute and AquaEnviro. And in bioenergy production, namely when we produce energy from anaerobic digestion through biogas, or we take some wood residues and we burn it with energy recovery, we get biomass ash and anaerobic diastase. So the aim of this project was to think about how to combine these waste streams in a meaningful sense to close the loop, to return the nutrients back to land. So why? Well, there are reported beneficial effects on these waste streams separately. They potentially present a complementary nutritional profile. Anaerobic diastase possess organic matter, high readily available nitrogen content, and biomass ash could supply several macronutrients, and as well have a liming effect. In terms of formulation, when we combine both and we think about which is the right form, if you want to think about that, about the blend, the ash potentially could dewater or sterilize, have a sterilizing effect. I'm just quoting there a paper to provide more information on the background, okay, if you're interested. So the project is structured in 4 work packages. In the first, we think and we source what we have, which are the waste streams. We source 6 different anaerobic diastates and 6 different ash materials. Then we combine them, and then we end up with different blends. I don't want to go into detail, but at the end, the aim was to tailor that blend nutritional composition to the requirements of the plant. In this case, I'll be mentioning results on winter wheat. Then our package 2 is where we go with these blends and we test them under glasshouse conditions: plant productivity, soil effects, soil activity, impact on soil biota. Okay? And then our package 3, feed by the results of our package 2, we go into mesocosms under field conditions, in which we, in addition, test greenhouse gases emissions and soil biological properties such as community diversity. And all along, we've been having steering committees with relevant stakeholders just to discuss, are we in the right direction? And we have also engaged with government, which participate in one of the reports of the Chief Scientist Advisor, I think from DEFRA, related to actually waste, okay? So this is the project. I'm going to skip the first bit and focus on the bit that could be more interesting to us, which actually are the work package 2 and work package 3. So we had a glasshouse experiment using 2 soil types, as you could see, a neutral loam and sandy acidic. And what we had, or what we performed, it was a completely randomized block experimental design. We had plants, we had pots without any plant at all. We were interested in certain blends, how they compare to conventional and organic fertilizer, and obviously the control. And in between, we have all the different materials. So 2 ashes, 2 diastates, different combinations, 13 treatments, okay? 5 replicates, 6 weeks of growth, okay? And when we moved into the mesocosm, we followed the same experimental design. We reduced the number of treatments. We left out one of the ash fraction, the bottom ash. We focused on the fly ash. We had 7 treatments, 7 blocks, and then we carried out this experiment for 1 year. So these are the results of the glasshouse experiment. As you can see, generally, the shape of the above ground biomass produced is pretty different. In here, we have all the treatments. I know they are a lot, so I'm just going to mention them broadly. On the far left, we have treatments with no nitrogen. A stands for ashes, okay? Around here, we have diastates, 1 and 2, and the blends. And around here, we have the inorganic fertilizer treatments, the positive control. This would be the negative control, and in between, all the combinations, okay? So the first thing is that this was the positive control with diastate blends. We achieve at least what I would say is equivalent performance, which in some respect is good. And that pattern or behavior was quite similar to the available nitrogen we have added to the system. In here we can see at the start and then unplanted conditions. And well, as I mentioned, the shade is pretty similar. However, we do not see the same when we use the acidic soil, as we would expect. It's because it's the liming effect, the one that apparently is driven this effect. So this highlights what we have been discussing today, that management is crucial. This is from another experiment, an incubation respiration that we carry out. And I just want to highlight that, well, these were control and ash, and these were inorganic fertilizer, if I'm not wrong, and diastate plus ash. But when we did the balance, the net loss of carbon, accounting for the cumulative loss, it resulted in being superior for the inorganic fertilizer. So in addition to this experiment, we did another one on earthworm toxicity. I'm not presenting the results because time is limited, so please feel free to ask me later. And this is when we upscale, we see that there is consistency with the results that we get. It's the same soil type, the net neutral loam that we were discussing before, and these are the blends that we used in the mesocosm experiment. However, obviously, greenhouse gases emissions, we observe a peak of nitrous oxide within the first 2 weeks, which is in agreement with the DC Agri report that most of the emissions were occurring in the first 2 weeks. And digestate and the blend had the highest peaks. And actually you would say, well, the blend is better. Well, we did not account for the potential ammonia loss, so that's uncertain whether is this ammonia loss the one that could fill this gap. But in any case, this is another aspect that can be managed at the time of treating this waste stream pre-application. So far we are processing the data, we published the papers, but we saw that crop productivity improved. We have positive effects, but are driven by soil types or soil needs or soil crop needs. However, or mainly, management is crucial. In terms of the formulation, by adding the ash, we did not tackle other issues such as volume, stability, and transportation. And there is a negative effect associated with nitrogen loss. So there was a follow-on funding, which is specifically having a look more in depth about the formulation stage. And this is the team with Lancaster University and all the other partners. And right now, I want to change for a moment my hat, and I'm going to talk about the Recirculate project that I think is more in line with what we've been hearing today. The Recirculate project is a GCRF funded research, and it aims or ambitions a circular water economy in West Sub-Saharan countries. And the approaches are very similar to our previous presenter. What is the problem? Solution focus. So what do we have to research for? Interdisciplinary co-design research. So we have different individuals with different expertise, either here and there, that are collaborating in order to design how these solutions could be implemented. The aim is to build the capacity. 5 years, 3 years is a short span, so the main aim is just a trigger, a spark. And then to make it sustainable in many aspects, eco-innovation, if it could be a model for business there, that's absolutely fine. And the bit that I'm directly related is related to energy and waste. These are aspects that the project is going or is having a look right now, and addresses directly, in addition to the SGD 2 that we've already mentioned, 6, 8, 13, and on what concerns energy and waste, 7. So the team is very big. I'm not going to mention all the people. The only thing is Lancaster University Ghana, UNIBEN, Council for Scientific Research in Ghana, and many other partners that are also in Malawi, Zambia, Botswana. Professor Kirk Semple and Alistair Martin are the ones that are co-responsible of Work Package 4, the one that I'm working in. And I guess that this is the most interesting bit. Waste, what we were discussing before, which type? Human, could be agricultural as well, whatever there will be there. If we submit to anaerobic digestion, we get energy carrier, and then potentially, and this is especially interesting, we can exert pathogen reduction. It might be that the greatest value it might not be found only in the application of this material to land, but actually in increasing the safety of the use of this material to land. So this diagram is showing how different work packages are interrelated with work package 4. And with the diastate, the idea is to use the nutrients as soil conditioner. We've been discussing, especially in the talk of Professor Paul, how expensive or needed are nutrients to be entered into the system. And this is pretty much it. I don't want to extend because I know we are running late, so I will welcome questions, but let me first acknowledge the effort of a lot of people, and thank you for your attention.